Everybody, we're back. We've got the Buddy Kick 125, my wife's scooter, up here on the workbench, and it's time for an oil change. Now this is potentially one of the easiest oil changes you could do. The Royal Alloy GT150 is about the same, as are many of the other universal GY6 style scooter motors. You need one socket, a torque wrench, oil, a drain pan, and some blue rags. You'll have this knocked out in no time. With that, let's take a look at the tools we need and dive right into the project. The tools we need for this couldn't be much simpler. 17mm socket, an extension, standard ratchet, torque wrench. You're going to have to do 13 foot-pounds and 20 foot-pounds. You're going to need your oil. Now you need 800 cc's of your 10W40, 15W40 motorcycle rated oil for the genuine Buddy Kick. It does need to have the JSO MA numbers on there. That's important. They make that very clear in all of your manuals. They do say a 15 weight. I'm going to run a 10 weight because that's what I put in everything else. Between this, an oil drain pan, and something to clean up with, we're all set and we're ready to knock out a very quick oil change here on our genuine Buddy Kick. We have 3 pieces that we need to unscrew or unbolt from the scooter to perform this oil change. The first is our oil dipstick. That's right here. That just turns with your fingers. As you can tell, mine's quite filthy, so we'll get that cleaned up before we put it back in place. This is the oil screen, and this is the 17mm nut that we're going to use to undo our oil filter screen. Pull that out and clean it. That's the only 2 things we need to worry about on the right side of the scooter. Let's move over to the left side, take a look there. On the left side of the scooter, this is our 17mm oil drain plug. We're going to remove this, oil's going to come out, we're then going to put it back in and fill everything back up. Those are our 3 fasteners. Now as we pull this out all the way and we let the oil drain out, we're going to pull our plug off and we're going to see we have our oil drain bolt, and we have a crushed washer. So this deforms under torque and gives you a better seal, makes sure you don't have oil leaking out. You're going to want a new crush washer when you do this. I don't happen to have one right now, so I'm going to reuse it, but I'll do another oil change to replace it in the future. Once all of your oil is drained out, take that, you're going to line it back up and start it back into the hole. You can do that by hand until it's all the way up and the threads are butting up against the engine. We're going to take our torque wrench set to 20 foot-pounds, clip that in, like so, and we're just going to turn again until we get that click. There it is. That tells us we're at 20 foot-pounds. We have completely drained the oil. Now, even though we've drained all the oil out on the other side of the scooter before we replaced that drain plug, we do need to drain out our filter right here. So, take your 17mm, put that on there, and spin that loose. Now you can do this over your drain pan if you want to make sure you don't get any oil on the work surface. In my case, I know it's pretty empty, so we'll just come around, unscrew it the rest of the way, and throw a blue towel underneath to catch any drips. There's going to be oil in the bottom of this cup on the strainer cover. That's no problem. Pull that out. There we go. We can take our oil strainer cover, dump it out. This is our oil strainer itself. So we can take this, we can go clean it out with a little brake clean or whatever we want to do. We're going to make sure that it looks clean on the inside. No tears, nothing obstructing it. It looks good to me. So then we just put this right back up into place. I can use that same blue rag to give myself a little bit better of a grip. And we just tighten that strainer back into place. Now we're going to torque this down to 13 foot-pounds. So I've set up my torque wrench for that. Come on in. Gonna listen for that click. There it is. This side's all done. We can proceed to fill with oil. On this side of the scooter, remove our dipstick. I had loosened that ahead of time to make sure everything drained nicely. And now, all we're going to do is insert our funnel, take our oil, and I'll tell you this, I like to buy it at Cycle Gear because they've been really good to me over the years. I like to support them, but they do price match Walmart, who usually has the best price on Mobil 1 motorcycle oil. And then we'll just pour that in. Pour it in slow. If you build up any big air bubbles, it'll puke it out underneath and you'll spill on your workbench and not get all of your oil. Now the Buddy Kick calls for 800 cc's of oil. You may note that I put in an entire container. Now an entire container is 948 cc's, which is just 2 short of what the Royal Alloy calls for, and my brain just farted and I thought they were identical. This is a slightly smaller motor, so it calls for slightly less oil. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is have a big Pyrex measuring cup with milliliters on it, because 1 milliliter is 1 cubic centimeter. So you can just pour it into that Pyrex container, and then pour that down your funnel into the bike. In this case, I overfilled it a little bit, I drained it off camera, but that's for me to know and you to have learned now. Once we've made sure all the oil is out of our funnel, grab a paper towel, pull that funnel out so you don't get any drips on your exhaust, set it off to the side, and you're ready. All that's left now is to reinsert our dipstick, and then we're going to check our oil level. To check our oil, all we do is run the engine for 2 to 3 minutes, let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes, vertically upright, then remove the dipstick and check the engine oil level on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and we'll report back in a moment. Okay, now that we've run the scooter and let it cool down again, we're going to pull out our dipstick, wipe it down, check our oil level. Right at the top of full, that should be perfect for us. So about 800 cc's of oil, give or take. You could certainly measure this out if you wanted to. In my case, we just sort of eyeballed it. So we've got that tightened up. Now the last thing we have to do is reset our oil filter light. Now that we've changed the oil, the only thing that's left to do is to reset our oil light up here. So to do that with the scooter on but not running, your oil light will be on. You're going to hold down your odometer button for 3 seconds until the oil light starts flashing. And then you're going to continue holding it for another 5 seconds until it goes off. That'll reset your oil indicator light, and you can redo this at home. I already did it. There's a couple other videos out here on how to do it, but that's all you have to do when that oil light is on and you've completed changing your oil. Well, with a 17mm socket, an extension, a ratchet, a torque wrench, a drain pan, and some new oil, we've successfully completed an oil change on the Buddy Kick 125. It's a really easy process. Again, just to remind you, the torque spec is 13 foot-pounds for your oil strainer cover and 20 foot-pounds with the crush washer in place for your oil drain plug. Check your oil level when you're done, run the bike for 3 minutes, shut it off, let it sit for 3 minutes, unscrew your dipstick, wipe it off, pull it out. It'll tell you if you're full or not. If you're over full, just crack loose the oil drain plug ever so slowly and let a little bit drain out into your pan until it's about where it needs to be. Again, 800 cc's or so. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoy these. Now you can go out, you can maintain your own genuine Buddy Kick. If you're like me, you like to do stuff on your own, I made a cheat sheet. It's out there on the internet. I'll make sure to attach a link to it in the description below. This is that cheat sheet. You can tell mine's pretty well used, but it's got our default information on it. It's our spark plug torque spec. What are our different torque specs for the drain bolts? Tire size, all sorts of good stuff, even oil volume. So all of that's on here. You can download it, you can print it. If you laminate it, it might last longer in your garage. This is my 3rd copy. Hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you on the next one.